Hey, I want to take some time today to do two different things. One, I want to answer a very specific email I got from a viewer yesterday, and while doing so, I kind of want to repeat a common rule of thumb when it comes to maintaining guns or taking care of guns, using guns, etc. First, let's address the email. In an email a viewer sent me yesterday, they said they are having a problem with their new Beretta 92 FS. The problem they are having is that the slide is not locking back on the final round all the time. In fact, they said it's not locking back every time. The fact that they say it's not locking back every time means it's locking back sometimes, so that leads me to believe it's not a problem with the gun because it shows that it can lock back, so the mechanism there does function, but there's a reason why it's not functioning sometimes. So today I want to talk about what factors might be causing that to happen, and that brings us to that common rule of thumb that very seldom lets me down when it comes to maintaining guns or diagnosing issues. And that is that most issues with modern guns comes down to three things. Usually, it's user error, meaning you could be riding the slide release with your thumb while you're firing the gun. If you touch it just enough to keep it from going into position when the gun is empty, you'll stop that slide from locking back. I myself suffer from a condition I call clumsy thumbs, and there's not a telethon for us or anything, we just have to live with it. So I do that quite often with lots of different guns. But let's assume that you, unlike me, actually know how to hold your gun and shoot your gun, and that's not your problem. Let's say you're not riding that slide release, you're not. Well, the next issue would be ammo, because that's usually the second thing in the three things that's the problem when it comes to a gun malfunction. And that is ammo. Ammo is probably the second most common cause when you're having an issue with a firearm not performing correctly. If for one reason or another that ammo is not loaded heavily enough, you may not get enough action on the slide to actually lock it back on that final round. That could cause the gun to fail to lock back after that magazine is empty. But in that case, you would probably notice that lower powered round, like you get like a, wow, that wasn't quite enough recoil feeling from shooting the gun. And that could lead you to believe that, okay, I might need to check this ammo and make sure this ammo is powerful enough. If it's not powerful enough or heavy enough, you might have to lighten the spring in your gun if you want to keep shooting it. But if you don't want to do that, you might just have to switch to an ammo that's actually powerful enough for your gun. Now that usually is a problem in smaller guns, not larger guns, but that is something you should look at. But I doubt that that's actually the issue. What I think the issue is going to be in this case is the third most common problem when it comes to failures in guns, and that is the magazine, because the magazine is quite often the problem when it comes to Beretta 92s. In fact, in the military, when I was issued a 92, the first thing you did, if you knew anything about guns, was go off base and buy yourself some decent magazines, because the Beretta magazines were garbage. It's not Beretta's fault, it's the military's fault, but that's the way it was. So like I said, I'm going to say it's probably the magazine. In fact, I can demonstrate that with this gun right here with this Beretta magazine installed. All right, if I rack this gun back, and you can see my thumb is nowhere near the slide release with the magazine in it here, if I pull it all the way to the rear and let go of it, it goes back forward. It does not lock back. This is with a Beretta factory magazine. It's one of the magazines that has that special coating on it. I forget what they frickin' call it, but this magazine right here does not lock the slide back every time. If I'm shooting hot enough ammo, it locks back, but often it doesn't. So that leads me to think it's this magazine. And I can easily prove that by putting this magazine in, a Metgar magazine here, and see what happens with it every time. Once again, I'll rack the slide back here, and you'll see it stays back. And that's the case every time at the range also. This gun never fails to lock back when I'm using this magazine, so that means it's the magazine. So in that case, I just have to label this magazine that it's only for range use. I just keep it in my range bag, or I have to try to fix it if I want to use it for concealed carry. But I don't conceal carry this gun anyway, so that hasn't been an issue. But if you're someone who does want to conceal carry, like I say, either just make sure you label this magazine as range only, or you can try to fix it if you want to, or just get another mag. So there you have it. That's what I think is probably wrong with your Beretta 92, and pretty much any other gun also. If you have problems with a modern firearm not functioning properly, it's usually one of those three issues. It's usually user error, it's usually an ammo issue, or it's usually a magazine issue. Now in this case, if you check all three of those things and that wasn't the issue, then you can start thinking, well, maybe the spring's too heavy on my slide release. But like I say, that is so unlikely. I wouldn't even give it much consideration. I'm betting it's one of those other three things. So take it out to the range, pay attention. Does it do it with different magazines, or is it always with the same magazine? Is my ammo proper? Am I grabbing the gun properly? If you check out those things with this gun, and not just this gun, with most guns, I think you'll solve your problem.
Oops.
Go ahead. It's a lady at 46 South Road. 46 South Road. Greenfield.
One call, retone that please.
10-4.
Captain 4 to go to that location also. This is 19.